grab hold of this. I trust it'll encourage you. Number one, we pledge our allegiance, our lives, our loyalty, and our love to a person. To a person. Not an organization, not a movement, not a church, not a denomination. To a person. Go to Joshua chapter 5. Joshua chapter 5. This story is so powerful. Joshua is the leader of the Israeli people, the Israelites. They've come out of Egypt. God has demonstrated his power to them in dramatic ways. They've buried a whole generation who refused to trust God, refused to believe God, refused to submit to the leadership of God. They buried him under the sand. And now a new generation has come up. They've crossed over the Jordan River miraculously, and they're getting ready to attack Jericho. This is like a brand new NFL team getting ready on the first game of their season to play the defending Super Bowl champions. This is daunting. And Joshua is there outside of Jericho, this city with walls so big that it was said that they raced chariots on the walls. Massive, biggest city, most fortified city of all of the promised land. And it's their first game of the season. And Joshua is pondering, how do we do this? We know God is powerful, but I got no strategy for this. And let's pick up the story in Joshua chapter 5, verse 13. Now it came about when Joshua was by Jericho that he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, a man was standing opposite him with a sword drawn in his hand. Okay, now that's a little threatening, right? The stranger who's got a drawn sword in enemy territory. And so Joshua approaches him. Joshua's a warrior. Joshua's a good man. And he says to him, he challenges him, are you for us or are you for them? Are you for our adversaries? And the answer he gets is not one he expected. The man said, no. No, I'm not for you. I'm not for them. Rather, I indeed come now as captain of the host of the Lord. That in Hebrew is Jehovah Sabaoth. Wherever you see in Scripture, Lord of hosts, and you'll see it over and over and over in Scripture, that is Jehovah Sabaoth, and it means the commander of the angel armies of heaven. The most powerful fighting force in all of creation, all of the universe, the army of heaven. And this was the commander of the army of heaven. And it says Joshua fell on his face to the earth and bowed down and said to him, what has my Lord to say to his servant? This man received the worship of Joshua, so we know this was not an angel. This, I absolutely am convinced, was Jesus himself. Because we know Jesus is the commander of the armies of heaven. We'll see that in Revelation 19 in just a few moments. And the captain of the Lord's host said to Joshua, remove your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy. And Joshua did so. And then he gives Joshua a strategy that Joshua would never have cooked up in a million years for defeating this city. And that's what God does. So here's the bottom line, guys. We pledge our love, our loyalty, and our allegiance to a person, and that person is Jehovah Sabaoth, the commander of heaven's armies, who does not come to take sides. He's not right or left. He's not liberal or conservative. He's not blue or red. He is. He takes over. It's all about him. He's not endorsing anybody. He endorses the fact that he is the commander of heaven's armies. And friends, that is who we pledge allegiance to. First and foremost. And if we get our eyes onto a party or onto some other thing than Jesus himself, we've missed it and we'll start to sink. We pledge our allegiance to Jesus, to a camp where he is the leader. He is the leader. I was standing in the line at the post office the other day, and a very, very tall man, about 6'5" maybe, was standing behind me with a mask fully covering his face, and the postmaster was barking out orders for us to keep 6 feet apart and all the rest. It was quite the scene. And he looks at me and he shakes his head and he says, I never dreamed at 73 years of age it would come to this. And I just shook my head and said, I know, brother, I know. And I said, but I've been reading my Bible a lot. And here's what I know, that if you are aligned with Jesus, it only gets better. The ending is very good. But if you're not aligned with him, it only gets worse. And his eyes got big and he said, really? And that was all the conversation we had, because we got called up to the counter and then out he went and I didn't see him again. But friends, here's the reality. Here's another thing about being aligned with Jesus. We can be bold. We can be bold about the future. I had a boldness to share with that guy because I knew my commander.